So when price started dropping, so this is a follow-up of the previous video. Um, with this such a violent reaction, you also would love to see a proper chance for a reversal. When price is dropping fast as this, then you get a lot of gaps to potentially trade off of. So depending on the volatility or the speed of the move, I tend to go to the lower time frame. And the moment I get double gaps, so I have a gap here now, and this gap is 13 points. So now I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, so what happens if we get a reversal now? So we got London low. It seems as if they both obtained their target, and now I would like to see a solid reaction from price. And I was watching this, but I wasn't. Then I'm always looking. Okay, so what do we have? We have a 1 minute change in the state here. We do have some level here. Let's say we could see this as a more of support breaking resistance. And I want to see, okay, what's price doing? So we actually don't. I'm going to enlarge this gap, which a gap of, in this situation, how much is this? This is almost 20 points, let's say 19 points. This is good, right? Because overall this is an entire move of more than 100 points. And if you would trade this, then it would still give proper RR. So I'm not saying that this is something, it's just about the relative size of the move. So if I would go for a 2R trade, or a sensible level close to it, this makes perfect sense. So let's see what price did. Now I'm also watching, and I'm also seeing that ES is making a similar move down relative to size, but it's not creating nice gaps. In a sense, it's not creating the best gaps possible. Let me just first see if I can get this H1 out of the way, because it just clogs up my... Sometimes having too much on the screen is also not helping, so I try to look for imbalances as well. So if I would draw a gap, I would take this imbalance as well. So I try to look at the reaction of a level, because we do have a level below here for NQ, but seeing ES was the weakest of the two. If that one has obtained its target, which I think it had at this point, then I also want to see strength on ES side to more or less conclude that we have indeed created a bottom. So now ES is showing strength, NQ is doing the same thing, and this candle was just really violent. So my strategy is to trade the retest and go a few ticks up. But this is just a really strong reaction. So I also want to see, okay, so if price is already going to my target and it's, let's say, up in the last quarter or last third, I'm not really interested anymore in taking it. So I just assume or just accept that I have missed a move, and this is not a move according to my model or strategy. So, okay, wow. Now, I was looking and I was thinking, okay, this is the case that I have missed a trade, because there is such a violent reaction. Take into account this is a 1 minute candle and this is a 1 minute candle. It's in a small gap, so I'm done. So I delete my long setup, because if price goes all the way back here, then I'm not really sure if the probability is still on my side. So I take into account, okay, that's it. And I leave it be, and I just look at price and try to see if there's anything to learn from this situation. Okay, so after this immediate move, we find some resistance, and then price is selling off again. And what happens here is that price, I think, went into the change in the state. Yes, it went into the change in the state. So now I'm looking, okay, so I'm not going to take a long, because I made that agreement with myself. But you could see an argument for a breaker here. I'm not sure if it's still marked out correctly. Let's just see. breaker. Yeah, so do it whatever you want. So there is a breaker with the mitigation, there is a change in the state, and we did cross a inverse fair value gap. So now price is going here. I decided I'm not going to trade because this is not something I have enough experience with, so I let it slide. But I do think, okay, so how is this setup any different from the 15-minute setup that I just marked or labeled as a really good A+ setup? So that's the question I'm now running in my mind. So is this good enough, violent reaction, retest, and then up to trade off of? And then, of course, in hindsight, it was. It would give really good setup. And how would I have traded this? If I would have traded, change in the state, I think I would still put my stop below the breaker, but seeing there's a gap, I would put it a little bit more down and then go for the 2R, which would be here. Now this is hindsight magic, so I'm not going to take any credits for it whatsoever, but this is for me a learning process to see, okay, so if lower time frame price action is showing me that it would like to reverse, there are of course different reversal possibilities. So my model currently is best fitted for a slow start and then a good follow through. However, this was more a V-shaped reversal and my model is not really suitable for it. So I'm just looking and reviewing, okay, can I find proper methods to still trade this? Because as you can see that in this gap, ES actually tagged it perfectly. So I'm going to take this in my notebook and say, okay, if price on the lower time frame is showing good response and we do have a clear change in the state and breaker level, it is worthwhile to consider trading the retest of the level if price of course has reached its target. There. And I think prices went on. Yeah, but I would go for the 2R in this situation because I think this would be a good first target because it just barely hit it. Then if you want to see a reversal, you can see it tagged this wick. So that's just to complete the story for myself. I would take out most of it here, I think, and a few points below, as I would always do. A few points below, and then maybe leave a runner to take that TP or to go back to the change in the state, just for a little bit of extra profit and also to teach myself to hold on to potentially good moves. So as long as I'm trading on the prop firm, I do want to take into account how would I trade this if I would have a live account, because of course with prop firms you have the consistency rule, so you cannot just leave a trade open and get crazy profits on it. But on a live trade, I do want to, let's say, entertain the exercise, but also train myself that if the draw and the trade is in favor of the higher time frame draw, then it's actually worthwhile to leave a solid runner to actually make the best of the move. Okay, that's it.